Hi, I'm Christian Roberts. Welcome to the home of Spartan, and this is the truth behind BKB. Okay, my introduction to BKB was attending a show in Bradford where I met a chap, rest in peace, Michael Mason, a former business partner of mine who I met on the night and we had a good chat. We became friends on the night. It was a really good show that night, as I recall. I get to watch Michael Ferry live, which was an experience in itself. And we come away and we started talking over Facebook, and we came to the realisation that we could start a company together. We would be able to get fighters that wanted to fight for us. So, we had one big session in my pub at the time, was the Prince of Wales in Warrington. And CMS was born on the back of a betting slip, really.
Bare knuckle boxing, also known as bare knuckle or BKB, is the original form of boxing, closely related to ancient combat sports. It involves two individuals fighting without boxing gloves or padding on their hands, either totally bare knuckle or with minimal bandaged hand wraps. The difference between street fighting and bare knuckle is that the latter has an accepted set of rules, such as not striking a downed opponent.
CMS was a mixed bag, really. I'm glad we did the show. I'm glad that we cast ourselves into the limelight of BKB with CMS. But I think a lot of things happened too quickly for us, and that may be down to mistakes by myself and by Michael Mason and by all the team around us. We agreed after the end of CMS that we could have done a lot of things differently. We tried to run before we could walk. This time around with Spartan, I feel I'm in a better position, that I've got a better knowledge of the game, I've got a better knowledge of the people in it, and I've got a better knowledge how to plan a future for a company. And Spartan is born and very real. Yeah, of course, I believe there was outside influences that contributed to the downfall of CMS. There was other promoters that maybe didn't want to see us there. Like I say, the things that stick in my mind about CMS are how big we grown so quick, and that ruffled a lot of feathers in the BKB world. Bad Promotions was certainly one of the ones who didn't want to see us where we were, and wanted to control the market, really. And do I believe they had a downfall in the fall of CMS? Yeah, of course they did. Every individual's got to be responsible for his actions, and I hold my hands up for my actions. But yeah, under no uncertain circumstances. Do I think that someone else had an influence in it? Absolutely, and I think we all know that is.
What part do you think Big Bad played in the downfall?
Well, they helped, turn people against the company. They done a crusade against. It was a witch hunt, basically. I'm human, above all, I'm human. I'm a human being. I make mistakes. I can hold my hand up for my mistakes. But some of the things that were said were absolutely disgraceful. There was a lot said about my treatment of my ex, with domestic violence and other stuff like that. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. And I put it to you, you're full of shit. I've never been presented with a bit of evidence. I've never been presented with anything apart from bullshit, and that's all from those people involved, and they thought that they got rid of me for good from BKB, and for a while I believed that myself. I didn't want to come back. They turned a lot of people against me. Some of those people, incidentally, are now inboxing me weekly saying, oh, we got it wrong, and too late. those people were meant to be my friends and stand by my side, but they didn't, and that's it, and such is life. And I'm not one to sit here stinking, in the shadows of my own shit. I'm back, I'm standing in front of whoever wants to stand in front of me. I don't give a fuck about what people think. At the end of the day, it's about me starting a company and giving fighters and new talent a chance to burst onto the scene instead of one company trying to control everything. That's not going to happen. I know there's other companies out there. Raging Bull with Jay Wan does a brilliant job, has fantastic shows, fantastic fighters. I don't ever think this sport's going to go mainstream. I really hope I'm wrong, and I really hope that something comes of all the efforts and that be bad I put in. But listen, you can't control the market, you can't control me, and you can't control anybody else who's got a company in the market. These people are bursting through, and these people are breathing down your necks, Mr. Brown, Mr. Freeman Dove, and you can't hide these people anymore. These people are coming for everything that they said we couldn't have. I've always, and I want to go on record and say this, I have got respect for Mr. Brown as a businessman. What he's done is quite exceptional with the company. We both know how we come about getting the company, but that's a different story altogether. But what we'll do is we'll say he's a good businessman. But I also have friends on Facebook that have seen the bitter treatment dished out too, i.e. Bobby Vanzi. I've seen a text message online saying, we're glad your brother's dead. We're glad your brother got stabbed, your brother was killed, your brother. Should any professional promoter act this way? This was a guy who was once an employee, who's made the show work by turning up and putting his life on the line and getting in the ring for you, and to treat someone who's been a former professional and been a former really good sportsman and really turned out and give his all for the company. No professional promoter should ever act that way, and it's absolutely inexcusable from what I've seen. So, I never expected I'd say these words, that Joe Brown's racist. Joe Brown really doesn't care about his fighters or employees. It's not. If I'm going to be honest with you, I think what they know you could write on a stamp. It's one thing being a businessman. I've actually seen Jim refereeing. Really? I think you can be a promoter, or I think you can be a businessman. I think you can be both, but I do not think you can be an expert on bare knuckle boxing not having had a single fight in your life. And anybody who tells you that you've got a great knowledge of the game and they've got this and they've got that they haven't fought. Whether it be mine was gloved, whether it be not gloved, it doesn't matter. You have to have had fight experience to be an expert in the game. I don't class myself as an expert. This is a game that you can be learning till the day you die. And I think they overlook that. Are they the only qualified promoters of bare knuckle boxing in Britain? Bullshit. Jay Wan, he's fought in the sport. He puts on good shows. He has good fighters, really good shows. He just hasn't got the bright lights of Vegas, and he hasn't got daddy's money to put in there. So what I would say to the people who listen to the twiddle that was on the internet the other day is from the live feed from Be Bad Promotions was, people own companies. People do the best job they can do. The best jobs to me and the hardest jobs to me about promoting are matchmaking. Your matches have got to be consistent. They've got to have entertainment. From what I've seen on the last show, there was dodgy decisions. And you can shoot me if I'm wrong. Sean George fight. I like Liam Cullen. Let's put that straight. I like the way he fights. I think he's got a cracking future in the sport. Sean nicked that fight. The way they treat fans and the way they formatted the shows now is again, as a businessman, I'm not knocking Joe Brown or Jim Freeman Dove. What I'm saying is, when you format a show, they've got the bright lights, you've got the dancing girls, they've got the treatment of the fans. I don't understand. If you've seen it in another promotion show, you're not allowed to come back and watch. So that's no way to treat your fans. Fans and fighters should be paramount, and that's bottom line. There is no other way of running a show. Your fans are the people that pay the wages to the fighters. The fighters are the people that provide the entertainment. These people have got to be looked after royal. And it seems to me like the monster that they've created's got that big. The fighters and the fans are just little parts in a well-oiled machine. But the fans need to feel more than that, and the fighters need to feel more valued than that, in my opinion. But it is only my humble opinion. not letting fans go to other shows. Can anybody really make an audience be that captive that they keep them to the one show? I mean, the stipulation I've got about the fighters is they're not allowed to fight in any other shows bare knuckle. Now, for me, a fighter's career is short, so why shouldn't they earn as much money as they can, when they can? You know, the fighters that are going to be fighting for Spartan will get a 3-fight contract, you know, and they can fight for any other promotion. That doesn't, you know, it's no worries to us. They've got families to feed, you know, that's the life of a fighter. As for the fans, if any fans go into a BBAD show that really wants to see another fight and isn't allowed to go to another show, all I will say is, sheep. Do I think BBAD's peaked in popularity? I don't know, it's hard to say. It's a strange market, isn't it? I suppose you're only as good as your show. And on the last show's performance, I don't know. It would be hard for me to elaborate on that. For their point of view, I hope they haven't peaked in popularity. From my point of view, I hope they have. You know, I'm not challenging BBAD in bringing out Spartan promotions. That would be stupid. You know, they like the bright lights of Vegas. They like the big boxing rings. And listen, I'm coming back here with the pit fights. You know, I'm going back to the roots. This is how it all began. You know, this is where BBAD began. You know, and I don't think I'm too good for this. This is what people want to see. This is stand-up, come forward fighting. You know, and I do think there's a market for what I'm bringing. I do think people want to see exciting stand-ups. You know, it's just become too much like boxing now. You know, too many hand wraps, and I think a lot can be gauged by the mood of your audience, and you know, not just BBAD. It's the only one I've got the template for that doesn't seem to be atmosphere at the shows anymore. So I would say yes. I'm thinking at the moment, unless they bring something up better or produce better fighters, you know, every show to keep people interested, I do believe it's peaked in popularity. If Joe and Jim were standing in front of me now, what would I say to them? I'll say actions speak louder than words. What would I do if Jim and Joe were stood in front of me now? Jim and Joe haven't got the balls to stand in front of me. It would never happen, so we'll leave that at that. What do I think about long-term fighters that have been called by BBAD company? You know, Dave Radford. I know he never lost his middleweight title, you know, and it was asked to give up for newer faces like Jimmy Sweeney and other people. And you know, you've got people like Scott Midgley. I've noticed recently on social media the treatment to Scott Midgley, absolutely dire. These are the people that put you where you are today, you know. And Ross Chittick, another, you know, and I mean, he's signed for Spartan Promotions now, and we're absolutely delighted to have Mr. Chipmunk on side. But you know, all said and done, these are the people that fundamentally put you where you are today. These people once used, you know, where are they now? You know, they get used and then they get pushed to one side. So I would say to any up-and-coming fighter that fights for BBAD, you're only as good as your next performance. Don't forget that. There's no value in pledging your long-term statuses to a company. You know, like I say, this is why it's so baffling for me that they won't let them earn money on other promotions while it's a short career. Yeah, you're always welcome at Spartan. Come and fight for us. Not an issue. You don't have to just fight for us. You can fight for anybody that you please. You know, you're valued there. You know, we'll always get you the best fights we can get you. You know, only tough motherfuckers will get in the pit at Spartan. That's for sure. When I first met Decker Heggie at bare knuckle boxing show in Bradford, where I spoke to him in the bar area, as I recall at the time, there was a lot of hype surrounding him. He was going to America, he was unbeaten. I found him to be quite a pleasant young man, as I thought at the time, you know. And yeah, I left that show in Bradford on the Saturday night, and on the Monday morning I was contacted by Decker and his father asking me if I'd take control of Decker's affairs in the sport. You know, he said he'd spoken to me at Bradford and realised I had a knowledge of, you know, the fighting game, and you know, he wanted a fresh outlook and someone to take over his affairs. So you know, that's how that was born, really. You know, I didn't know a lot about it when I first took over Decker Heggie. I only know what Decker told me and what Joe, you know, told me at the time. And you know, from Decker's point of view, and as from the book says, You know, Joe promised him the world, a weekly wage, training like a professional athlete, getting fights, take him to the top. You know, when I took over Decker, he was very disillusioned. He hadn't got any of that stuff, and he was being accused of robbing, I think at the time, it was £10,000 from Joe Brown. You know, I think he'd been managed pretty poorly. He was very, very lacking on trust. He didn't want to trust anybody. Yeah, it was hard. You know, to take over the reins from his former promoter and manager was really difficult. You know, and at the end of the day, you know, there's a good reason behind why he was looking for a new management team and a new manager. You know, so yeah, I took the reins, and yeah, I think he was managed really poorly. You know, a lot was said about the split with Decker, and you know, I didn't think it run out. I mean, I think he said all he needed to say in the book, that I'm a wannabe gangster pub landlord. Where are you now? You know, a couple of things were the factors for me splitting with Decker. I mean, a quick short story was, I got a phone call one night, a couple of nights before the Stephen Miller fight actually, and the phone rung and I ignored it because it was a withheld number, and the second time they rung, they didn't have the brain capacity to withhold the number, so the number was there. So I picked the phone up, a voice comes over the phone saying, we're going to execute your daughter, we're going to burn your pub to the floor, if you turn up to the Miller fight with Decker, you better pull him out, blah blah blah. So I put the phone down, and I happened to ring a cousin of his called Neil. And I said to Neil at the time, you know, I've had this call and I don't want you to jerk Decker because it's a couple of days before fight night and it'll spook him. I want him to just have a clear mind for the fight. You know, I've had death threats, I'm going to ring the police, blah blah blah. He said, oh, what's the number and that? So I give him the number, and you know, he said, oh, well, let me do a bit of digging before you ring the police and I'll get back to you. And not 10 minutes later the phone rang and he said, oh, don't be stupid, it was our Derek messing about. Yeah, that's not funny, you know. So you read into it what you will, but my view is he was shitting himself to fight Miller and he didn't want to turn up. But that's only my opinion and my view. So I give you're the governor. Oh my God. Okay. First and foremost, when I met Decker, I thought he was a really nice guy, you know, but you know, you've got to go on the facts, you know, and the facts are, you know, you maintain you're the governor, and you know, I know Mr. Williams beat you recently, but you always said you've never been knocked down, you've never been stopped, you've never been this, you've never been that. Didn't Gary Furby spark you? I kind of seem to recall seeing that, but hey, we all run on legitimate excuses and reasons, and you know, I'm not taking away your achievements in bare knuckle boxing. You know, it's took a man to stand up and win the fights that you've won, but you know, do you roll off the tongue with Lenny McLean, Cliff Fields, Decker Heggie? Nah. Anyway, swiftly moving on. I wish you all the best for the future. You said in your book that I used you to make my name in bare knuckle boxing. Well, where are you now and where am I? Good day, sir. Okay, I chose to come back to BKB. You know, I needed to go away from the sport. There was a lot of allegations, most of which were unfounded, let me tell you. He said, she said, you know, like I touched on previously in the interview, a load of bollocks. But I needed to go away, I needed to find myself, you know, I needed to regroup and find out what I loved about BKB. And then, out of the blue, I got a phone call from an old friend from BKB, which is James Quinn, top man, owner of Knuckle Promotions, and you know, I had to sit down and chat with him, and he said, you know, how bad is it really, you know, have you got a desire to come back to the sport? And you know, I went away from that meeting with James that day, and we had a bit of dinner in a hotel near us, and yeah, come back revitalised. And then, you know, long story short, I met my current business partner, Ash Meir, you know, in the village where I live, and you know, we had a chat and we talked about one or two things, and you know, Spartan was born, you know, and I discovered that I did have, you know, the vitality to come back and the vitality for the sport, and yeah, of course I want to put BKB on the map, but I made a conscious decision not to run with the big dogs, as they call themselves, and go for the bright lights of Vegas and whatnot. You know, I wanted to come back with grassroots bare knuckle boxing, you know, and the pit. You know, whether you love it or you hate it, people want to see it. You know, people love to see fights finished in a brutal manner sometimes, you know, and you know, as much as you love it or hate it, that's how it is. So done an interview with yourself, where I announced the return of Spartan. Me and Ash have sat down. We've got a good team around us now. I feel I'm a lot more experienced than I was first time around, where things happen too quickly. You know, I just think we're in better stead this time with the signings of Ross Chittick, you know, Aaron Gorgon, Seth Jones fighting on the bill. It speaks volumes. Scott Midgley due to appear on the promotion. You know, yeah, let's bring back what's missing from BKB. Now, let's fuck the bright lights of Vegas and fuck what everyone else thinks. Let's just get in the pit and have some good old fucking tear-ups. That's where we want to be. That's the vision we've got, and that's the vision we'll be coming at you with Spartan Promotions in the future. What does Spartan hope to achieve in the future? I mean, me and Ash got together, didn't we? And, you know, we had this thought of, you know, let's create our bare knuckle boxing company, you know, which way should we go with it? And, you know, we sat down, you know, I think that's fair to say, we sat down and we realised what the fundamental things we need to make a successful company. Now, they would be, fighter safety has to be paramount. You know, above all else, fighter safety is paramount. Fighters being paid a fair wage and being paid, you know, on time every time. That's another thing that, you know, seems to be a lot of quarrels in the sport about. And, you know, but above all, we wanted to bring back the old school pit fighting.
Old school BKB.
Old school BKB. In the pit, what people love, and more than anything, we just want to uncover as much grassroots talent as we can, because, you know, you've got these people fighting for middleweight championships of the world but only fight their own fighters, and you've got people fighting for the transatlantic. Listen, we're looking to uncover talent that can burst into this sport on a level and take all that away, you know, and nothing will thrill us more than to keep churning out successful fighter after successful fighter, and above all, successful show after successful show. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah. Ash?
Who makes up the Spartan team? Ash will take you through some guys we've brought in. We call them the money team because they're all successful in what they do. And Ash can tell you more about that.
They're really good at promoting, they're good at organising events. They know what they're doing basically, so just needed someone on board to take care of that side of the business, so Christian could just concentrate on the fight cards, matching up the fighters and stuff. So now the team's working really well, everything's working really well.
Yeah, we're on Instagram now, Twitter, Facebook groups doing really good. We're over 1.5k members now. It's only been going a couple of months, so you know, it's exciting times. And like you say, we've got the money team in place now, and they take care of all our promotional work. You know, we're going to be appearing on billboards in town centres soon. You know, they've created a big profile for this company, and they're taking it forward. And like Ash says, you know, it leaves a lot of time in our hands for us to source better fighters for the shows and to build a better format for the show, and again, and ensure fighter safety. You know, the fundamental things we need to worry about, we worry about now, and the difference is the money team take everything else out of our hands, and we know everything, you know, is above board. Okay, a little bit more about how the Spartan Fighters or Fight for Spartan Promotions is. Sat down with Ash and we made a couple of decisions not long ago, and we don't want to tie fighters to long-term contracts because, as we touched on earlier in the interview, that, you know, it's a short career and it can end at any given time, you know, so we're a great believer of these people have families to feed. You know, these people want to make the best they can make themselves in the sport. So, we decided a 3-fight contract was what we would go with. Now, within that contract, they can sign for Spartan Promotions, they can fight on any other promotion that they please. We're not going to stop that. As long as they honour the 3 fights in a year for us, they can fight bare knuckle, they can fight glove, they can do anything they want. We're not going to tie them to a long-term contract. It's a 3-fight deal. They can fight for any promotion, earn as much money as they want. As long as they honour 3 fights for Spartan within that signing period, then we're good. We're good with everything they do, and we'll support them in any way we can. Okay, so we're doing things a little bit differently this time around with the fighters. They'll be kept very safe. We're going to have fully qualified paramedics ringside. They will be carrying out medicals before and after the fights. I've been taken advice by, you know, someone who's qualified by the UK anti-doping agency. You know, we will be doing drug tests before fights, some random, some, you know, eventually spreading out to all the fighters will be drug tested, but we'll stick with random for now. We trust that the fighters that are appearing on the show, you know, will turn up present and correct. We'll be putting the platform in place for them that's present and correct. We expect the same from the fighters, you know, and Yeah, it should make for safe fights. You know, we're going to have fully qualified referees. James Quinn's going to be our official referee at Spartan in any of the pits. I'm a firm believer of anybody reffing a fight has to have fought in the sport to understand the level of refereeing in that sport. You know, when a fighter's in trouble, common sense prevails. They can think under pressure. Rather than someone who hasn't had that experience in the pit or in the ring. You know, they might get. You know, we've seen on shows recently. Referees been slow to get in or slow to control a situation, which, you know, as we all know in bare knuckle, can cost lives. So yeah, we're ensuring every angle that, you know, we've took advice from the anti-doping agency. We shall have qualified paramedics pit side, and there shall be medicals before and after the fight. The fighter won't be released until we're satisfied that he's medically correct. And yeah, we just hope that the shows bring as much pleasure to you as they're going to do to us. Our medical team that we've took on board is led by Dale Sparks from Newcastle. You know, they were the medical team that were in charge when Cowboys Michael McDonough lost to Mike Terrell, when Mike Terrell became the Knuckle heavyweight champion. You know, fully qualified. They've worked in BKB. These guys are second to none, and we're absolutely delighted to have them on board. You know, and it's a lot of peace and safety in the fights, peace of mind for us and the fighters and the fans as a whole when they're at a show, that fighters will be medically very well looked after. Our referee in the contests, you know, I sat down and had a chat with a guy that none of you will need any introduction to, is James Quinn, former bare knuckle fighter and owner of Knuckle Promotions. I mean, when we sat down, I had this guy in mind. He's got vast experience in the bare knuckle boxing world, having run a promotion and having been a knuckle fighter. You know, in my experience and for my own peace of mind, I always wanted someone in the middle who's got vast experience of the game itself, and that way they're quicker to pick up when a fighter's in trouble, they're quicker to pick up when a fighter's beaten. You know, because the last person to realise that the beaten is the fighter. You know, so it was just an absolute no-brainer that we had to go with James Quinn. I mean, a legend of the sport, and someone I'm really lucky enough to call friend. You know. Members of Spartan, though, sadly we've lost Stephen French. You know, I had a show just before Christmas that was coming up, and it was going to be an evening with Dave Courtney and Stephen French, and, you know, Dave had to pull out for the reasons he explained to me himself, which, you know, I understood. And, you know, I got a phone call on the Tuesday before the Saturday off Stephen saying, you know, I'm going to ring Joe Brown, you know, I'm going to sort out what the beef is between you and him, and I'll get back to you tomorrow. I knew at that point then that Stephen would become very, very attracted to the whole BKB scene and the BKB 9. He was a guest. I had predicted a couple of weeks before that, having spoke to Joe Brown, he would then become pretty much someone that surrounds BBAD. I wish Stephen all the best. You know, had some good laughs together. But, you know, you backed the wrong horse. What can I say? You backed the wrong horse. Who are the Spartan Warriors? Well, you know, the first person to appear for Spartan was a representative called Adam Lee. He's had many gloved and unlicensed fights, and he fought on the Bearfish show, represented Spartan Promotions, and I got the ball rolling. You know, Adam lost on that occasion, a really game kid, someone we're really excited to have fighting for us in the future. And then recently, it's been well documented, we pulled into Ross Chittock. He's decided to give it a go for us, and, you know, spoke to Ross, and he's a fantastic guy. You know, it's the first time I ever spoke to him in person, and yeah, he's a really nice kid, and he needs no introduction. He's fought all the best, he's fought, you know, every big name in the pit. Again, someone we're really excited about having on board, Aaron the Knuckle Butcher Gorgon. You know, as his critics, top guy, spoke to him on the phone, really nice chap. Looking forward to seeing him represent Spartan Promotions. He will fight in our first show for the vacant light heavyweight belt against Seth Jones, another seasoned fighter. Again, a guy who's fought the best, Radford. He's fought Gorgon. He's fought Chittock. You know, he's fought them all. All these top quality fighters. We've got young kids coming in. Joe Fisher. You know, really, really good glove boxer. He's had 10 amateur fights, I think, won 8, and he's ready to step over to bare knuckle. Big, strong kid, you know, and you know the list goes on. And I'm sure, like I touched on previously in this documentary, that the fighters we're bringing through may not be ex-UFC fighters, and they may not be, you know, future UFC fighters. You know, the Spartan Promotions warriors, and they'll get in that pit and they'll give their all every show, and that's what we're all about, bringing grassroots fighters through and making a name for themselves in the sport and keeping the dream alive for them.
What experience would somebody need to become a Spartan warrior, and how would they go about it?
Well, anybody looking to become a Spartan warrior, I mean, you know, you have to have bare knuckle experience. No. You get into a pit, it's a completely different ball game from jumping in a boxing ring and doing bare knuckle, or what is passed as bare knuckle with the wraps. You know, where we've got the ethos of minimally bandaged hands. It's a 10v10 pit, it's a very tight confined space, and you know, the come forward style and bang, it's, you know, it's fly or die, you know, and these guys know it. These guys get in and they've come for a fight, you know. So how do you become a Spartan? You know, we would have preferred if you'd had some fight experience. You know, we don't want to put you in there completely blindfolded. We don't want to put you in there out of your depth. You know, I will matchmake the fights perfectly to a fighter's record, his age, you know, experiences. Not everything, but it would help getting into a pit if you've had some sort of fight experience. And people that fight for us in the future will be people that come on the show, perform well. If they want to become a Spartan, or you want to try your hand in the pit, you know, you find us on Facebook, Spartan Promotions BKB, find us on, you know, Instagram, anywhere really. You can find us on any of the social media outlets. You talk to myself on Facebook, Christian Roberts, add me, we'll have a chat, we'll see your experience, we'll get you lined up, and we'll see how you do on the day, you know, and that's how stars are born. So the rules of Spartan, well, I mean, first and foremost we'll be using the large hay bales, straw. You know, rules surrounding the fight itself. We've already established that the fighter can say he's had enough, or the referee can stop the fight, or your main cornerman can throw the towel in. You have got the facility of anywhere in a round. At one point you can take a knee for the 10-second count to regroup. But if you are dropped, it will be the full 20 count, and then at the end of that 20 count, if the referee deems that you're not in a fit condition to defend yourself, he will stop the fight. You know, or the fighter can say, like I've just touched on, he has had enough. There's not too many other rules we want to bring in. We want to keep it nice and simple. We want to keep the rounds, will be 3 2-minute rounds in a non-title fight, and it'll be 5 2-minute rounds in a title fight. We have made the pledge, and we did mean it, that there will be no draws in the Spartan pit. That means, that means Mr. Miller will be repping for us. There'll be no draws for us. Now, you know, the 5 2-minute rounds, if it's a title fight, you know, will go, and the 3 2-minute rounds. If we get to a draw at the end of that card, then both fighters will be assessed, and if they're physically capable of carrying on, there will be an extra round. You know, if they're not, then we'll have a count back, and we will have a judge ringside, and he will look back to see who's done the most clean work and most successful work, and that judge's word will be final. But ultimately it will be up to the ref to see if they're both capable of doing an extra round, and if they are, they'll fight it out, because fighters don't train for 3 months and fans don't pay a ticket to watch a draw. So what draws, go to IKEA. Okay. Rules, legal strikes and illegal strikes. Well, we won't want any rabbit punches, that's for sure. No headbutting, no biting, no gouging, you know, no Superman punch. You know, the Superman punch has been outlawed. You know, it's for MMA, it's not for pit fighting. Though I've got to say, the punch that Billy Martin hit Jason Young with was an absolute peach, but we don't want it in the pit. And sanctioning, you know, if any of the fighters cross the line, they will be banned from appearing on a Spartan show, where we will hand out, you know, what we think are prim and proper rules. We won't let them fight on a show for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. Life, if that's what it warrants in life. What we want in the pit is good, clean, stand-up fighting, straighteners. We're bringing back the straightener. We'd rather have people in the pit doing straighteners and shooting each other and stabbing each other outside. So when you get in the pit, you'll fight like a gentleman, you'll act like a gentleman. When you get out the pit, everything's left in the pit.
What is the role of the referee, and what powers does he have?
The rules and the powers
He's invisible. Sorry.
Pardon, say again.
He's invisible. It's your power, isn't it?
The roles and the power of the referee will be as such. The referee is there to officiate the fight. I appreciate it's hard for a ref to ref and judge, but you know, with someone with experience, we would expect that they've got a keen eye for what the action is. If you're crossing the line, the referee will absolutely can disqualify you from the fight instantly, you know, and he will give a report to us after that fight, and we will judge the length of ban that we impose on that fight after that fight, judged on the basis of the referee and the ringside judge, you know. Like I say, we're offering you a platform. We expect you to turn up as gentlemen, we expect you to fight like gentlemen, we expect you to remain gentlemen after the contest as well. Okay, to me, the most important aspect of being a promoter is the matchmaking. You know, I feel that matchmaking is absolutely paramount. I've seen fights in the past. Peter Radford against Bobby Vanzi. I mean, Peter Radford, an absolutely brilliant bare knuckle fighter, as in the post of what a guy, what a chin. You know, but that chin against Bobby Vanzi was tested, really tested. I thought that the fight should have been stopped a lot sooner. And to me, it pointed out how badly match-made the fight was, where Radford's got all the heart in the world, but Bobby Vanzi had all the slick skills in the world, and you know, it was painful to watch the end of it. Another fight that sticks out in my mind, poorly match-made, was Jimmy Sweeney against Michael Ord. It could have been really unsafe. You know, Jimmy Sweeney is very, very gifted at what he does. Michael Ord, gutsy performer, would never back down from anyone. One of my personal favourites actually from BKB, and you know, it was painful to see how quickly he was dealt with, and you know how dangerous that could have been. You know, and it's little things like that that protect lives. You know, matchmaking is paramount. You've got to have a knowledge of the sport. You've got to have a knowledge of the fighter, which is why all our fights at Spartan will be matched perfectly on experience, age, weight. You know, everything will be matched perfectly. No fan wants to buy a ticket to a 10-fight show and have 7 fights over in the first 20 seconds. Okay, you know, you're asking me what sort of hand protection we'll be wearing during the fights at Spartan. Well, I'd first like you to point out they won't be 4-ounce hand wraps, padded, you know, because, you know, the MMA standard is 4 ounce, and, you know, I feel that a rival promotion who was shooting for the stars, they're tricking people. They're asking them to buy tickets to a bare knuckle boxing show. It's not bare knuckle, far from it. You know, what will we have in our pit? Minimally bandaged hands. We will have up to 1.5 ounce, 2 ounce bandage maximum. If both fighters agree that they want to fight bare knuckle, well, we've seen Radford and Midgley in the past do the same thing. If that's how they want to fight, that's how they'll fight. You know, and you know, we have got the ethos of we are bringing back real bare knuckle boxing. This isn't bullshit where you've got mattresses on your fingers, you know. So, you know, if you don't want to come and see that, then we're not the promotion for you to come and watch. You know, if you want to come and watch a good old school tear up where people are really busting each other up, this is the place to be. You know, we're not going to pretend to be something we're not, and we are a bare knuckle boxing company. So we're asking what type of fights we'll get at Spartan Promotions pit. Well, you know, I've made no secret about what I'm looking for from this company and the fighters. You know, in my opinion, there's nobody more important than 2 fundamental factors, and that's your fighters and your fans. You know, the fighters who want to come and fight for Spartan know what they're getting into. You know, they're getting into a 10v8 or a 10v10 pit. They're standing upright, and the only style of fight is come forward. And I think that's what the fans want. You know, I want my fans to come away from Spartan Promotions and go, Jesus Christ, did we really just watch that? Did that happen? You know, that's what real bare knuckle boxing's about. I want them to walk into the arena and see the pit, and I want them to smell the testosterone. You know, I want to see these guys warming up backstage, chewing the paint off the fucking walls. These guys are ready to go, you know. That's what it's all about for me. That's what bare knuckle boxing is. You know, first and foremost, we want to ensure fighter safety. Secondly, we want to satisfy the fighter's craving to stand and have a good old Great British fucking tear up. And lastly, we want the fans to go away and go, fuck, when's his next show? That's what Spartan's all going to be about. What sort of fans do we want to attract to Spartan Promotion shows? Well, we want to attract fans from all sorts of walks of life, really. You know, we don't want... You know, I think Roy Keane famously once said, you know, the problem with Old Trafford is that people that are watching the game don't know what's going on the pitch because they're too busy eating prawn fucking sandwiches. A lot of the people we don't want at the shows, you know. We want people to come here, we want people to be in that sit with fucking grit. You know, we don't want them standing at the bar going, who was on last, who was it? You know, if people aren't sat pit side and people aren't fucking glued to my action, then I'm doing my job wrong, you know. And I want people to sit there and go, fuck me, I've pissed my pants a little bit because I don't want to leave this fight. You know, that's the type of results that we want. And you know, if we get those results, that's brilliant. But we do want to attract all types of fans. We want people to come and see what real pit fighting's all about, real bare knuckle boxing.
The safety of the fans.
Safety of the fans, you know, we can reassure the safety of the fans by whenever they come to a Spartan show, there'll be SIA registered doorman, you know, there'll be no stone left unturned. We're working closely with the local council, local police, you know, we want to get everyone involved, we want to make sure that everybody has the best experience they can have and the safest experience they can have. And when they walk away from a Spartan show, say, fuck, I can't wait for that boy to sell tickets again. And that's what it's all about. And the team that we've got around us here at Spartan are all working closely together. The money team, Wasim, Fahimul, Ash, you know, all of us are involved together and we're all trying to work together to make one goal, and that's a brilliant platform and an amazing experience for the fighters to witness themselves by fighting on a show. And more importantly, when the fans walk away, they're breathtaking. They want to come back. They want that experience again and again and again, and that's what I think will make a successful path for Spartan. So yeah, we you know, you're asking about what other measures I'll take to make sure the fans are safe. You know, I heard an incident in London not long ago at a BKB show where a guy got stabbed in the head. I know the guy personally, and you know, what I can say is, you know, on all Spartan events, you know. Our SIA registered doorman will be outside and inside the venue, and people will be detected for weapons on the way in. You know, the first and foremost is we want to give the fans a safe experience and an entertaining experience, you know, and no fan or, you know, anybody in the crowd should ever expect to be injured at a bare knuckle boxing show, you know. So we will, you know, we will take these incidents that happen, you know, on bare knuckle boxing shows, and we will kind of, you know, set our stall out where that won't happen to us. We do want to keep the fans safe and we do want to keep the fans entertained, and you know, I'm sure that the team we've got around us and the SIA doorman we have working for us will ensure that, you know, fans are paramountly safe. So where will we have the first show? Well, the first show is going to be in the Civic Quarter in Mansfield. Paul Andrews, very good friend of mine, you know, he's offered to give us the venue to put fights on there, and I know they're very excited to have us down there because they've never had bare knuckle there before. So yeah, we're looking to do some business with them in the future and put a few shows on there and keep everyone happy really. And yeah, exciting times. We just want to get the first one out of the way now and give the fans exactly what they want, and that's mouth-watering fights. Ticket prices and how to get them. Well, we're going to start the first show. It's £50 a ticket. That's 8 fights BKB. You know, we're just in the process of building a website, which is going to be SpartanPromotions.com. On there you'll be able to buy merchandise, click and buy tickets, you know, the upcoming events, there'll be profiles on the fighters and interviews with fighters, all sorts of stuff going on the website, which we're really excited about. Alternatively for this show, you can go to StuArmstrong.com, a friend of mine. If you click on the link there, that'll pass you through to us for tickets. You know, it's exciting times. In the future, where it's applicable, where we can do food, you know, the prices will fluctuate. You know, we'll have £50 normal, and we'll have £65 to £70 VIP with a bit of food. You know, eventually we do want to get up there to the level of you are comfortable and you are watching the rawest form of BKB. We just want to give the fans that happy environment that they want to watch and enjoy the sport that they love. So, summing up, I've really enjoyed doing this documentary today. You know, I'm really excited about being back in BKB, and I'm excited about bringing the fans exactly what they want, and that's, you know, absolute cutting edge fights, perfectly matched, and, you know, good entertainment all around. Where do we want to be in the future? We want to take Spartan forward. We don't want the bright lights of Vegas, and we don't want to be multi-millionaires. There's not a lot of money to be made in bare knuckle boxing, and anybody who tells you there is full of shit as the guy who thinks he runs it. You know, so what I'd say is give us a chance, come and have a look, come down, have a watch of real BKB, not padded hand BKB, real BKB hand-to-hand combat, and let's fucking do this. Let's smash this out of the water and let's have some fun along the way. And I look forward to meeting you all on the night. Me, Ash, and the team. I'd say thanks for watching this documentary, and we look forward to meeting you in the future.